Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the Unplugged Woodworkers podcast. So I got back kind of very late last Friday night. I have been have been a little bit lazy. I think that's probably due to the fact that I'm sick to death of cutting stub tenons. Because I've pretty much made every single door for a kitchen, obviously, bench cupboards and wall cupboards, so I've kind of had me fill with stub tenons, so I've still got something to do as well. I think I'm kind of onto my last door now, so it's going to be really, really good just to kind of get that out of the way. Ironically, when I do eventually get me new van, which I have been looking for, I'm going to have to do this all over again. But once it's done, it's done. But I'm kind of looking forward to that, but it is what it is. So, what impressed me? So, I was flicking through YouTube, I think it was yesterday, and I came across, I didn't come across it, it actually came up in my feed, which I don't know why it did come up in my feed, but Matthias Wandel, I forget how you pronounce his name now, or how it's spelled rather. So Matthias, he's more geared towards machines. He's a super clever guy, very, very intelligent. If you haven't checked him out, which I'm probably sure you have, he's got a massive following. I think is he like a kind of an engineer? Anyway, he's a super smart guy. And if you don't follow him on YouTube, give him a watch. He's done some absolutely amazing things. He's built his own machines, his own bandsaw. I think he's done a jointer as well, that's kind of, for me at least, that's kind of like a big deal to build your own jointer. This is like a proper, something that you would see in a like a real joinery shop, if you will, like a small joinery shop that would be producing furniture. So it's, he knows what he's doing. So, he actually, I don't know when this video got published. It just, as I said, it just popped up and I thought it was really interesting, so I pressed play on it. And it was about glue. Basically, what he done, he actually got like a bunch of glues and he glued them 90 degrees to each other. You using softwood, and then I think it was maple he used after it. He had a computer hooked up to some sort of like gizmo he made, and basically he had the pieces clamped to some I think it was like part of the structure of the building, and you must have kind of made some sort of program for the computer, and it's a cog that kind of went round and obviously applied force, and it's, it kind of measured the force, until either the wood snapped or the glue kind of gave way. It was pretty interesting. I would have liked to seen a couple of more glues on there. I would have liked to have seen hide glue. I don't think that would have done quite as well, the hide glue. I know like a lot of people are like, hide glue till I die, and they kind of love it, and I kind of don't get on with it too much, if I'm honest. I haven't had like a great deal of success with it, unless I'm doing something wrong with it. I have to admit though, I haven't tried hot hide glue. This has just been the cold hide glue, the stuff already kind of made in the tub. But I am. I'm going to spoil it for you. It's still very interesting to watch though. So, but one of the ones that done really well, I can't remember if it was the top one, but it was one of the ones that done really well. with a hardwood, and that was Gorilla Glue. And that's my preferred brand. I've tried Type Bonds, I've tried a few others, and I think they're rubbish. You know, that's just my opinion. Same again, I know there's a lot of Type Bond diehards out there. It's honestly, check out this, check out Gorilla Glue. I'm not sponsored by them or anything like that. It's a really good glue. So anyway, you know, he's tried all these and he done numerous tests. It wasn't just like the one test, he done numerous tests. And it was quite interesting to watch. You know, I was kind of geeking out on it a little bit. I would like to see some more of that. I might actually do a little bit more digging into something like that. So it was quite interesting. So, speaking of glow ups, so today, I was actually putting one of the doors together, and in the northeast of England, it was actually snowing this afternoon, and it started snowing while I was doing the glue up in this glue up. Was a total nightmare. I don't know how many doors I've actually glued up now. It's quite a few doors I've glued up, and I haven't had a problem with like a single one. With it being cold as well today, when the PVA glue is actually cold, you get kind of more of a what's the word I'm looking for? An open time. So basically, if it's hot, the glue tends to grab quicker. So if you are kind of messing around, like with fiddly things, it is kind of better to have a bit of like a colder temperature. Some people actually recommend putting it in the fridge. I have done this in the past, but I do know firsthand that when the weather is hot, it will grab, and it's an absolute nightmare. Well, today, even though it was snowing, the glue decided just to grab. I've never known it to grab so quickly, and it was an absolute nightmare trying to get this door together. It started snowing. Obviously, I was outside. I'm trying to get all my tools inside, and I'm thinking about the glues grabbing, and it was absolute total nightmare. I can't believe how much I struggled with this door with stub tenons. You could understand if it was dovetails or even like full size tenons, but not stub tenons. I just thought I'd mention that, so sometimes you can get problems when you don't expect them. So, this week, obviously just kind of making the doors, and I was using the plough plane to make some grooves, and I thought, as I was using it, I was getting like feedback. I thought it would be a good idea to maybe go over a little bits and bobs of the feedback, just to explain what I mean. This mightn't be relevant to, people who do use hand tools, as I talk, you'll probably know what you'll kind of get where I'm going with this, but this may be geared a bit more for the beginners. Although I did have a few whoopsies, or rather I have had a few whoopsies as I've been using the plough plane, and that's because I've been ignoring the feedback, which I don't normally tend to do, but for some reason, unless it just hasn't been registering in my brain for whatever reason. So I just thought I'd kind of go over little pieces of feedback and, how you might solve it, or, what you should kind of do. So probably one of the best, like feedbacks examples for me at least is probably going to be sewing. You can get quite a lot of, feedback from a sew. I'm also going to mention as well, feedback, from your tools. This is not something you can, just pick up in 5 minutes, in my opinion. This is kind of something you'll get from experience. You kind of can't learn experience. You literally got to experience it. which kind of might be a little bit frustrating to some people, but it kind of is what it is. So some of the examples, a good one, and I've seen people struggle with this, and I've actually pointed it out to a couple of people why it's happening. So when you're sawing, specifically rip sawing, the saw will start to get really tight. You'll struggle to actually do like the strokes, especially if you're using a typical Western saw. The saw will start to like bend. You risk kind of really bending it and buckling it, depending on how much force you're using and how much it's grabbing. So 9 out of 10, when this is happening, it's usually because the timber's binding together. I do tend to find this happens more with hardwood, in my experience. And the thicker the piece is, obviously the more it's going to grab, so the more it can be problematic. This also does happen if you're gluing multiple boards together, depending on how you're gluing the boards. If you're gluing the boards in all like a straight glue line, a straight joint roller, it doesn't tend to be too much problem. But if you're kind of leaving a little bit of a gap, I forget the name for this. So this is, you've got a technique when you're gluing up boards. You can actually put a slight belly in the boards, which will leave a gap in the middle. And you can actually use one clamp. And this one clamp will pull the two boards to meet each other in the middle. And there's more pressure going on the two outside edges, or the two ends, if you will. So this kind of nips everything together nice and easy. And this can actually be done in the reverse. You can actually use, two clamps at either end and put a belly that's facing, that are touching together. So you've got a gap at both ends, and you can pull them in that way as well. So I have found when you do that, you do tend to get binding, which kind of makes sense when you think about it. So as I said, 9 out of 10, if you're going through it and you're struggling, and this is obviously kind of more for like a beginner or someone who's just moving over to hand tools, why it's binding, that's probably why. 9 out of 10, I would say. So what can you do for this? Obviously, make sure the saw's sharp. That should be a given anyway. Make sure it's lubricated, whether you're using wax, just candle wax will do, or whether you're using some sort of, oil, a rag in a can, Paul Sellers rag in a can, which I use. I just spray like 3-in-1 in that. And obviously it depends of the length of the cut as well. You might have to actually wedge it. So that should kind of deal with that, but that's giving you the feedback. So you should really pay attention to the feedback. If you're struggling like crazy to saw this, this piece of wood, just like kind of give yourself a minute and think, why is it doing this? If it's giving you problems, there's normally a reason why, and it's normally quite easy to solve the problem. So another good one for feedback when you're sawing is when you're actually cross-cutting. And I actually like this one because this is very, very easy to point out. And once you point it out to someone, they're like, oh, wow, yeah. It's like some sort of magic. You've just released the ears, and it's actually listening. When you're cross-cutting, and some of you will know what I'm talking about, yeah, the actual tone will change as you're getting closer to the edge of the cuts. So, you can kind of, I don't know, maybe you're sawing a couple of boards that are glued together. Let's just say, let's say 1.5 foot. So you're sawing 1.5 foot and you'll start getting closer to the edge, and the tone of the sawing, the noise will change, and this will be very, very prominent, or at least for me it's very prominent. I know when that happens, I need to slow down with my sawing strokes, and I also need to support the edge of the work, because if I don't support the edge of the work, it's going to split the wood. So, you know, that's what the feedback is all about. This is what I'm talking about. You know, little things like this, you know, it just helps you out. It's, you know, whether it be help you out physically so you're not straining yourself, or it's helping you out by not damaging the piece of wood. So it is kind of good to kind of take these things into consideration, or to experience them and learn them, if you will. Although I can't say it's more experience than anything else. So another good example, although it's not clean and straight cut, is when you're using planes. So I have actually had a few, over the last couple of years, I have actually had a few little pops about this, or rather people have pulled us up about things. And I've talked about these before on podcasts and to people. But when you're planing, you do, or at least I do, I will get like feedback. So if I'm planing and I'm getting resistance, the first thing that'll pop to my mind is me blade sharp? When was the last time I sharpened it? How much have I used the plane? So, you know, straight off the bat, you know, it'll actually tell us, the feedback will tell us whether I need to sharpen it or not. Obviously depending on when I've last sharpened it and how much I've used it, etc. So if it is freshly sharp, it might be telling us, if there's resistance, that I'm planing in the wrong direction. Another sign of this, or feedback of this, is that I will be getting tear out on the wood. Usually if you're planing the wrong way and it's like quite severe, you'll kind of know, like really straight away, because you'll see the tear out and you'll literally feel the tear out. So obviously you want to be turning your piece of wood round or planing in the opposite direction. This, as I've just said at the start, when I started on the planes, this isn't like kind of straight, clean and straight cut, if you will. I've had a lot of problems with Sapel, or Sapelli, however you want to pronounce it. And while I've been planing it, to look at the piece of wood, the grain direction looks like it's going in the right direction. Basically meaning that the grain is running straight, or at least it looks like it's running straight. And it might be slightly lifting away from myself or away from the way I'm planing, which is totally cool. That's kind of what you want to be, aiming for. If it is lifting, you want it lifting away from you as you're planing. So I have had pieces of wood where obviously it kind of messes with your head a little bit, because I've seen the way the grain's going, and I've been planing, but I've been getting the feedback that's saying you're planing in the wrong way, and I'm kind of scratching my head and I'm looking at it and thinking, but it's the right way. But the plane's saying no, it's not the right way. So it's kind of, it kind of does mess with your head a little bit until you kind of get it in your head to plane the other way, even though your brain's telling you to stop being stupid because you can see the grain. And you're playing the opposite way, only to find out that you are still getting a little bit of resistance and a little bit of tear out, but it's actually less than the opposite way you've just been doing, which kind of defies logic. But as I've said, I'm getting the feedback, the tools telling us that there's too much resistance playing in that way. So I turn it around, but it's conflicting with my brain and with my knowledge, but still I'm listening to the feedback. At the end of the day, the feedback of the tool is superior to the logic in my brain, although even when I say that, it kind of conflicts with it. But, you know, that's another good example. So, as I've said, when you are playing and you are getting resistance, you know, you might need to turn it around. You're playing in direction. If it's really, really bad, if the grain's all over the place, it's lifting up, it's going down, it's swirling round, you know, there might be multiple knots. It's kind of not the place you really want to be with hand tools, although, you know, you've just got to kind of be a bit more gentle. It's probably going to take you a bit more time to sort out. But I mean, with things like that, you would get as close as you can, you know, with your planes. And then me personally, I would finish up, with a cabinet scraper. That's probably my kind of go-to. That's normally how I deal with Sapel or Sapelli, or anything like that. That's, you know, causing us problems. So another good one that actually prompted this podcast this week was the plough plane. So as I was using the plough plane, I was getting resistance, and I was getting resistance at the same area or the same amount of length. You know, just like maybe a few millimeters up. And I know there wasn't any knots, there wasn't any change in grain direction because I could really see it. And this was actually spruce. So, you know, for us to be able to take X amount of strokes, and then go back over it again and feel the resistance. The problem was, and I've done this, I'll have to admit this, I did do it a few times. I actually pushed through the resistance, and I know I shouldn't have, and I did actually break some of the lip of the groove I was making. The two outside edges, well, were all one outside edge, you know, so I did have to repair a couple of them, and it's took however many I've done now, to just the other day to kind of think, stop pushing. The tool's actually giving you feedback to say, you know, there's something wrong, there's resistance, and there wasn't resistance like a minute ago. Like, kind of pull the plane out, check, see what's going on. And there's what I think it is, or what I think's happening, is that I'll keep on going. I'll go backwards and forwards. This is how I do it. I think this is one of the quickest ways. Just say where you've got a length of wood. Just say a meter, for instance. I'll probably take strokes. Maybe I'll do 300 to 400 millimeters at a time, and just work my way backwards. And when I do that, I'm actually able to pick up quite a lot of speed, you know, and it gets the job done really quickly, instead of going like starting at the back end, how you would do it, how you would joint a board, you know, start at the back end, work your way forward, to the end, you know. That just takes too long, and I see a lot of people doing that, but that's kind of up to them how they want to do, but I just think it takes far too long, and it's not necessary. So, what was happening when I was getting the resistance and I was pushing through, and I did actually, you know, break the lips a couple of times, is that the little section where the shavings come up, with plough planes, they can actually get, and they do get really clogged up, with the old metal ones. They do get clogged up, and it kind of pushes out to the side, and because the fence is on one side, it can only push out towards the fence, if that makes sense. So it's pushing it out towards the side of the fence. So when I'm feeling resistance, it's pushing it out, and I'm kind of forcing it out of the groove, if you will. I'm not like, I can't really force it out of the groove, but it's the plane's wanting to come out of the groove. And I think that's the problem, because there's so much build up, and it's kind of pushing inside of the groove. And obviously, because the fence is up against the side of the piece, it can't push that way, so it's pushing towards myself. And obviously, just with the body mechanics, I'm kind of like, pushing it out, and that's how I've broke it. That's what I think's happened. If someone wants to correct us, by all means do so, but that's what I've got in my head. That's what I think has happened. So the point is, listen to the feedback, don't ignore the feedback, because I felt it, I felt the resistance, and I could have stopped, and I didn't, and I just pushed through it, and I think like 2 or 3 times I've like pretty much damaged the lips, and I've had to repair them. So not cool, just being a bit of an idiot, and not, kind of, not paying attention, being lazy and whatever else. So maybe it just wasn't registering in me head. I don't know, but I thought it was a good example, So next, a screwdriver. Yes, screwdriver will give you feedback, and it'll tell you a few things. So, using a screwdriver, obviously to screw some screws in. So, if you are doing this, I would recommend if you're not using some sort of a drill, anything like that, I would recommend that you use some sort of lubrication, maybe some paste wax, or what I tend to use, I just use a candle wax. The little tea lights, the little round tea lights, I basically take it out of its metal case, and I've always got one in my pocket, and that's what I use it for. I use it primarily for screws, or for the screw bits on me bracing bits. So when you're screwing a screw in, as I said, I would recommend putting some wax on it. If it's really a struggle, you're getting feedback, and it's telling you that the pilot hole is probably too small. If it's going in like stupidly easy, your pilot hole is probably a bit too big. So if you've got multiple screw holes to do, and you're using a screwdriver, you're not using a drill, get the first one right. You got the feedback with the first one, you get the right size drill bit, and Bob's your uncle, you will get the rest of them. You may still get a little bit of resistance when you are screwing them in, but again, I would just use a candle wax. For anyone that doesn't use it or hasn't used it, the next time you've got some screwing to do by hand, totally get some candle wax and just pull the screw over before you put it into the hole. It'll take you like 1 second. Honestly, the difference, it's crazy, the difference a little bit of wax can do. But highly recommended if you have a go with that. So next on the list is the router plane. Same again. I've obviously used the router plane quite a lot. I'm pretty well adverse at using it, obviously, because I cut all my joinery by hand. So with the router plane, the feedback you tend to get off that is whether the blade is you've advanced the blade too much. There will be other bits and bobs of feedback, but for me, that's kind of the one. When you put it in to the workpiece and you're trying to take a slice off, let's just say a tenon, you will feel it. You'll feel it immediately, whether you've advanced the blade too much and you're taking too big of a shaving off, rather than kind of force your way through it. You're getting the feedback to say that it's too much. Take the route of playing off the piece of wood and adjust the blade. I would highly recommend you do this, because if you don't, there is, depending on the size of the tenons and how much you're overhanging when you're cutting the tenons, you will probably, or rather the wood, there's a good chance the wood will actually pull the blade down, and you'll take a big gouge out of it, so you can actually blow it out, out of the other end. So that's a pretty good one for the feedback. And obviously when you get a nice, when you get the feel for the, how much to advance the blade, and when you are cutting it, when you've got it set nicely, you will get the feedback and it'll be pleasurable to use the plane. You'll get a nice, sliver of wood taken off the tenons, and you'll feel the feedback from that. It's a bit hard to describe unless you're doing it, but it's, I probably could go on and on and on about different sorts of feedback, but the kind of point I suppose I'm trying to make is kind of pretty much all the tools will give you feedback, and listen to the feedback. Don't be an idiot like me the other day and not listening to the feedback. It just kind of tends to make your life, a lot easier, and pleasurable, I suppose, kind of. I do like, I've talked about this before, I do like to get all the sensations, when you're using hand tools. You can kind of hear, you kind of hear it, you hear the feedback, you can, feel it, you can see it. It's, I think that's one of the good things with working with hand tools. You get all this feedback, and I think it kind of adds to the, what's the word I'm looking for here? It kind of adds to the overall, should we say, goodness, the goodness of using, hand tools, or the pleasure. It's more pleasurable. Let's just say that, rather than, like working in a machine shop, I'm not dissing the tools, there's some weird and wonderful tools, and obviously, to get things done nice and quickly and so on and so forth, but it might just be me as well being biased, because I hate wearing safety glasses. I hate having ear plugs in, all this protective equipment. I just don't like to wear it. It's just not pleasurable for me. Especially wearing, the likes of masks. I just don't like to wear masks, that's just me. Don't like it. So that's one of the good things about, working with hand tools. You technically don't have to wear all of it, or, if you feel the need, you could, but I think when you're doing things like that, when you're wearing, ear defenders and all the rest of it, it's taking away, the feedback, if you will. Although, don't get us wrong, you can get some feedback with, some of the machines, I can't see otherwise, because it's been actually quite a long time since I've, been in a machine shop. It's quite a long time. But obviously I can still remember some of the feedback, from using some of the, the industrial machines. Even if you're, using a table saw, you do get feedback from that. But personally, I don't find it pleasurable, obviously with all the safety gear on, but that's just me. Anyway, guys, I'm going to call it for today. I feel I've rabbited on enough. Again, thank you very much for listening. Thank you for everyone that's following us on my social media on my Instagram, my Facebook. I've had a lot of new followers on Instagram, so thank you very much for that, guys. And until the next time, I shall speak to you later.